First person I can honestly say that looks like Steph Curry. Like, she's not guardable right now, and she can hit almost any shot from the outside.
Almost any.
How much of a power she is out there on the court. The cool part is the way that she plays and her range and the level of difficulty on her shots is obviously a very close comparison.
From long-range shots to lasting influence, Caitlin Clark isn't just setting records, she's shattering them. Surpassing even Steph Curry's iconic three-point average, she's reshaping the future of basketball. But what happens when Caitlin Clark crosses paths with Steph Curry's legacy?
Do you think Caitlin Clark could beat Steph Curry in a three-point contest?
That's tough. Shooters can have an off night. You just never know. Caitlin has no conscience where she pulls from.
Steph has no conscience where he pulls from.
Been doing it for a long time, so can never go against Steph. Steph has been doing it for a long time.
Recently, Caitlin Clark has solidified her place in basketball history, and it's not just because of her scoring ability, it's where she scores from. New stats show that Caitlin Clark now holds the record for the longest average three-point range, an incredible 28 feet.
I think the WNBA narrative right now is Caitlin Clark, and I think that's a good narrative, but it's also not the only narrative. Caitlin is an amazing generational talent, and she's going to do amazing things. You're the number one pick. People are going to go after.
This remarkable accomplishment not only surpasses the previous record held by NBA legend Steph Curry, but it also sets a new, higher standard for shooting excellence in basketball. By pushing the boundaries of what was once thought possible, Caitlin Clark has redefined the range at which players can score, inspiring future generations to aim even further.
Do I need to call you the female version of Steph Curry, or do I need to call Steph Curry the male version of Caitlin Clark?
I think I'll just be the female version of Steph.
At just 22 years old, Clark's achievement is far more than a statistical outlier. It's a reflection of her unmatched skill, court awareness, and unshakable confidence. As the all-time leading scorer in college basketball, regardless of gender, she has already left an indelible mark on the game. With her new record-breaking 28-foot average, Caitlin Clark has not just added a new statistic to her resume, she's fundamentally redefined what it means to be a sharpshooter in the modern era. To put her accomplishment into perspective, Steph Curry, widely considered the greatest shooter in basketball history, boasts a three-point range averaging around 27 feet. At the time, that seemed untouchable. Curry's range revolutionized the game, sparking an era of deep shooting and permanently changing the way basketball is played. But now, Caitlin Clark has pushed that boundary even further, raising the bar to new heights.
I love me some Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball.
However, Clark has taken that revolution even further, stretching the boundaries of possibility with an additional foot of range that makes her a constant threat the moment she crosses half court. This is no accident. Clark's shooting range is the result of years of dedicated training, an innate basketball IQ, and an unwavering competitive spirit. Her shooting form is a perfect balance of precision and power, enabling her to effortlessly launch shots from well beyond the arc. But what truly sets her apart is her fearlessness. Clark isn't afraid to take shots from distances most players wouldn't even think about. Whether it's a contested three in the final seconds of a game or a casual pull-up from 30 feet on the fast break, she makes what seems impossible look completely effortless.
Shout out to Caitlin Clark. She's a certified bucket. To quote Shaq, I was not familiar with her game. I respect her game. She's a fucking baller. She was pulling up like Steph Curry from deep. But I just got one question. Matt, do you think you can beat Caitlin Clark in one-on-one?
Absolutely not. Nobody here can.
I'm busting her ass. You wild. Shit. You wild, bro.
This record also speaks volumes about the evolution of women's basketball. Clark's success stands as a powerful testament to how the game has progressed, with athletes consistently pushing the limits of what's possible on the court. Her remarkable shooting range has drawn comparisons to Curry, but it has also established her as a trailblazer in her own right, showing that women's basketball is just as dynamic, innovative, and game-changing as the men's game.
I think Steph Curry made the WNBA watchable. Caitlin Clark, baby.
The way that Caitlin Clark was playing was a very digestible form of basketball. But now this girl out of nowhere is playing like Steph, and it was still digestible.
Meanwhile, Clark has reached this milestone in an era where defenders are more focused than ever on limiting long-range threats. Opponents specifically game plan to neutralize her, yet she continues to excel, constantly finding ways to create space and sink one clutch shot after another from deep. Her 28-foot average isn't just a number, it's a declaration of dominance. As Caitlin Clark keeps breaking records and exceeding expectations, the basketball world is left to wonder just how much further she can push the boundaries of shooting.
Is there anybody in the NBA under the age of 30 that's a bigger name, bigger jaw, bigger star than Caitlin Clark?
For now, one thing is clear. Clark has not only surpassed Steph Curry's legendary mark, but has firmly established herself as one of the most transformative figures in basketball. Her 28-foot average three-point range is more than just a record, it's the foundation of a legacy in the making. Caitlin Clark isn't just redefining the game of basketball, she's reshaping its entire business model. The sharpshooting sensation, already celebrated for her historic three-point average that outpaces even Curry, is demonstrating that her influence extends far beyond the court.
I mean, honestly, $1,000 for a family of four to go to a WNBA game. That seems wild. It really does. The Clark effect.
Clark now represents an incredible 1/4 of all WNBA merchandise and ticket sales. This remarkable achievement highlights her power to attract fans, drive revenue, and become a true game changer for women's sports. Moreover, in a league that has long battled for visibility and equality, Clark has sparked an unprecedented wave of fan engagement. From jerseys bearing her name to arenas packed with fans chanting in her honor, Clark is more than just a player. She's become a movement.
Caitlin Clark, her style of play it's not just her individually as a person or what skin color she is. I think it's, more so about her style of play, her playing.
According to reports, her merchandise sales alone make up nearly 25% of the WNBA's total revenue in this category, an extraordinary figure that speaks to her unmatched popularity. Whether it's fans buying her iconic number 22 jersey or scooping up exclusive Caitlin Clark-themed collectibles, her appeal is undeniable. The same goes for ticket sales. Clark's games are an event, consistently attracting record-breaking crowds. Caitlin Clark is changing the game, literally. Her ability to drain deep three-pointers, the kind you usually associate with Steph Curry, has redefined the expectations for women's basketball. It's not just about the range, it's her confidence, flair, and ability to consistently perform at a level we've rarely, if ever, seen before. NBA legends and basketball greats are taking notice, and their reactions are a testament to her talent and impact. Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, didn't hold back in his praise. He highlighted how much Caitlin has done for the WNBA and called for better officiating to protect her from unnecessary fouls and hostility. MJ's message was clear: Caitlin is invaluable to the game, and it's time the league treated her accordingly. Steph Curry, often seen as her male counterpart, has been equally impressed. He's pointed out the similarities in their games, not just the lightning-fast release and jaw-dropping range, but also their ability to elevate teammates and put on a show for fans. As Steph said, she's the total package. But Caitlin's rise hasn't come without challenges. From the start, she's faced criticism and even hostility from some WNBA players. NBA legends like Rick Barry and George Gervin have defended her, calling out the jealousy and disrespect. Barry was blunt, saying the hate comes from fear of her undeniable talent. Gervin added that Caitlin's impact goes beyond the court. She's brought private charters, bigger sponsorships, and unprecedented attention to the WNBA. As Barkley put it, you should be thanking that girl. Yet, not everyone is on board. Reggie Miller sees the adversity as part of Caitlyn's journey, arguing that every rookie must prove themselves. Kevin Garnett echoed that sentiment, framing the extra defensive attention and hard fouls as a sign of respect. They both believe these challenges will only make her stronger. The controversy around Caitlyn reached a new level when she was left off the U.S. Olympic roster. Critics like Paul Pierce argued it was a missed opportunity for the sport, while others, like Dwight Howard, saw it differently. Howard suggested the break might have been a blessing in disguise, giving Caitlyn time to recharge and dominate in the second half of the season. Through it all, Caitlyn has stayed focused. Her game has grown faster, sharper, and even more electrifying. Legends like Shaquille O'Neal have praised her ability to silence critics with her play. Shaq, in his signature style, summed it up perfectly. If I say you're not gonna hit that shot and you hit it anyway, you're the truth. What's remarkable is how much Caitlyn has already done for women's basketball. Magic Johnson, who has an ownership stake in the WNBA, compared her to young stars like Angel Reese, saying players like Caitlyn are shaping the league's future. Magic also pointed out that it's not just about Caitlyn being the most popular player. It's about her potential to reach the very top, just like he and Larry Bird once did. Even with all the challenges and noise, Caitlyn's journey has been nothing short of transformative. She's bringing in fans, raising the league's profile, and proving that women's basketball is a force to be reckoned with. As Charles Barkley said, the WNBA owes her a lot for what she's done for the game. Caitlyn Clark is not just a rising star, she's a trailblazer. Her ability to thrive under pressure, elevate the sport, and handle adversity with grace is why basketball legends, fans, and critics alike are rooting for her. Whether it's breaking records or changing perceptions, Caitlyn is building a legacy that will be talked about for years to come. Is the WNBA racist? Some would say so, but let's discuss some facts and numbers first. By all means, this was the best year the WNBA has ever had. They set an all-time record for total television viewers, reaching 54 million people. They also set an all-time record for the number of broadcasts that hit at least 1 million viewers. The league saw its highest total attendance in more than 2 decades, with a massive 50% increase compared to last year. The All-Star Game broke new ground with a staggering 10 million fan votes, a more than 500% increase from the previous year. The Indiana Fever, the team Caitlyn Clark plays for, managed to set an all-time single-season attendance record for a WNBA team. Beyond that, the league saw a 350% year-over-year growth in subscriptions to their paid streaming service. Add to that more social media engagement, more sellout crowds, more news coverage, and more merchandise sales than ever before. It's the kind of season that WNBA executives likely never imagined was possible. Now, given all these remarkable achievements, how much money do you think the WNBA made this year? How much revenue could such a groundbreaking season bring in? What kind of profit do you think they were able to achieve? Earlier in the year, there were reports suggesting that the WNBA's finances weren't looking great, and now that the final numbers are in, those estimates have proven to be pretty accurate. According to the New York Post, the WNBA lost $40 million this year. Yes, during its best season ever, the league still managed to operate at a loss of $40 million. They exceeded nearly every metric for growth and engagement, and yet failed to turn a profit. This isn't just a bad year financially, it's a pattern. The WNBA has never been profitable in its entire history, and at this point, it's difficult to see how that could ever change. It's a concept fundamentally at odds with reality. because the majority of Americans simply aren't interested in watching women's basketball. Even during a record-breaking year like this one, the numbers show that interest still isn't enough to sustain the league financially. This backdrop makes Caitlin Clark's recent interview with Time magazine particularly interesting. Time, which still exists, recently named Clark their Athlete of the Year and featured her on the cover. In the article, Clark made a statement that's simultaneously revealing and controversial. Here's the part that stands out, directly from Time magazine. "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege," says Clark. "A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing." There are two things happening here. First, Clark is crediting black women with building the WNBA. Without them, she argues, the league wouldn't exist. While this might be intended as a compliment, it's a bit like praising someone for founding a business that consistently loses millions of dollars. However, even this claim isn't entirely accurate. The WNBA was built and is still financially sustained by the NBA. Without the NBA's funding and support, the WNBA wouldn't exist at all. She goes further to say that black women deserve to be elevated and celebrated, which makes it clear why she's saying this. She's protecting her endorsements and her status in the WNBA by endorsing a narrative that aligns with modern progressive ideals. What's interesting is that Clark's words come after and during a season in which she faced relentless abuse on the court. Whether it was being knocked over, poked in the eye, or shoulder-checked, Clark was repeatedly targeted, and in some cases even taunted afterward. Yet, despite this treatment, she's out here claiming that she has privilege. As a white woman in the WNBA, her experience suggests anything but privilege. What she does have is undeniable talent. Clark set records as a rookie, including the most points, the most assists, and becoming the fastest player to reach 300 points. Her performance is the reason she's a standout, not her race. However, her willingness to embrace the narrative of privilege, even after the way she was treated on the court, raises questions about whether she's doing so out of conviction or necessity. The WNBA, for all its growth and engagement, remains a business with fundamental issues. Even in its best year, it couldn't come close to profitability. Clark's commentary highlights the league's reliance on all players, but doesn't address the underlying problem. The WNBA is asking for an audience that largely doesn't exist. The record-breaking engagement figures show progress, but they also show limits. A majority of Americans still aren't tuning in, even when the league reaches its peak. In the end, the WNBA's challenges go far beyond racial dynamics or privilege. The league's financial woes point to a deeper issue: its inability to convert interest into sustainable revenue. Caitlin Clark's remarks may spark conversations, but they don't change the reality that the WNBA is, at its core, a business struggling to justify its existence in the sports market.
And Iowa has Caitlin Clark, who's become this huge star. She's amazing, and she's getting all this attention, and some nasty press reporters are upset about it.
Did you catch what just happened? Megyn Kelly, yes, that Megyn Kelly, just made some explosive comments about the WNBA, and she's not holding back. She's calling out the league for treating Caitlin Clark like she's the enemy. Hard to believe, right? So, what exactly did Kelly say that's got the WNBA so stirred up? Her blunt remarks about Caitlin Clark have lit up the basketball world, sparking a huge reaction across the league. Kelly didn't mince words, and now her comments have everyone on edge. Let's dive into the details everyone's buzzing about.
But she came out to say her own scoring record stands despite Caitlin Clark beating it, because I guess they didn't have three-pointers when she was playing, which is just ridiculous.
Kelly didn't hold back when she criticized the WNBA for its treatment of Clark. She bluntly stated that what's happening to Clark is really that serious. Can you believe it? This isn't just some offhand comment. Kelly's words carry significant weight.
So she's getting a lot of hate from people like that. Of course, Jamel Hill has weighed in, like a lot of people taking shots at her.
You might be wondering, since when does Megyn Kelly care about basketball? And that's a fair question. She typically doesn't involve herself in sports drama. So why is she speaking out now? The reason is that what's happening to Clark is so outrageous that even Kelly felt compelled to voice her opinion.
She's been in the WNBA for 2 minutes. There's no reason to hate her other than the amount of attention she's getting and her skin color. I mean, would this be happening to a black Caitlin Clark?
No.
Getting the same amount of attention.
This is where things really heat up. Kelly revealed that some players are actively targeting Clark on the court. She's not referring to just tough defense or regular competition. She's saying that Clark is experiencing outright abuse. And get this, she claims the league is allowing it to happen. How wild is that?
And it's resulted in physical alterations on the court that don't get called as fouls, that the girls then deny were intentional. And Caitlin Clark always takes the high road. She never, points the finger, but it happened again.
But Kelly didn't stop there. She linked Clark's treatment to larger issues in women's sports. You know how Clark has been in the spotlight a lot recently? Well, Kelly made a shocking statement saying that.
Many black women inside the WNBA are resentful that this white woman came in and is getting all this attention.
That's a serious accusation, and it stirred up strong reactions on all sides. Kelly isn't just referring to fouls and rough play. She's claiming there's a significant amount of racial tension simmering beneath the surface of the WNBA. She believes Clark is right in the thick of it all.
The people weren't going, Jake, because they were homophobic, racists. That's why the other girls resent Caitlin getting attention, because she's not black.
You might be asking yourself if Kelly is correct about all this. That's the million-dollar question. One thing is certain, though. Her comments are prompting everyone to seriously examine what's really happening in the league. Kelly believes that Clark is turning the sport into something mainstream. And if that's the case, it seems not everyone is pleased about it.
These are the highest ratings in more than 10 years. And it is 100% because of Caitlin Clark.
Those are regular NBA ratings. Like if you get a couple million people watching an NBA game, you're pretty happy as a network guy. She is the Michael Jordan. Like I know you're not a major basketball
person,
I know. But she is the Michael Jordan of female basketball. Every single player in that league, every single coach, manager, janitor, anyone who has anything to do with that league should be bowing at the altar of this woman. She is transforming the sport into something mainstream, which is what the WNBA was set out to do. And I think it started in 1994 or 1995.
This isn't just some drama. It's a major earthquake rocking the WNBA. And believe me, we're only witnessing the initial tremors. The aftershocks from Kelly's bombshell are going to be felt for a long time.
Or as alive, but there has been a confirmation. There has been, as good as a confirmation from the draft. And it's unfortunate they leaked the expansion draft, or at least leaked part of the expansion draft.
As the new franchise made its much-anticipated entrance, speculation soared about how the Valkyries would build their inaugural roster. Naturally, Caitlin Clark became a focal point in these discussions, celebrated for her exceptional scoring prowess, long-range three-point shooting, and strong leadership on the court. Caitlin has emerged as one of the brightest stars in women's basketball today. The potential addition of her talents to the Valkyries has generated tremendous buzz and anticipation among enthusiasts and analysts alike.
All right, there we go. We have our first 4 names of the reveal, and there they are. And just in case you didn't pick up on it, these names are being announced in alphabetical order from the teams of the W, so there's no ranking here in terms of who's most important. Your first thought?
In case you missed it, these selections are being announced in alphabetical order based on the teams. so there's no ranking in terms of importance. At first glance, you might assume Caitlin Clark would be among them, but when the draft results were revealed, an unexpected twist occurred. The Valkyries chose not to draft Caitlin Clark. This surprising decision left both fans and analysts stunned, igniting debates across social media platforms and sports broadcasts. The Golden State Valkyries' participation in the expansion draft marked a pivotal moment for the WNBA. It's a rare opportunity for a new team to build its roster from the ground up, and anticipation was high as fans watched to see their selections. While many anticipated bold moves, the decision to bypass Caitlin Clark, widely regarded as one of the league's brightest stars, created a wave of controversy and confusion within the basketball community.
As for the names on the back of the jerseys, we do have 4 more names that are about to be revealed in just a moment, but we do want to do a little table set of the Valkyries' notable games during what will be their inaugural season. They'll open the season in the Chase Center against the Sparks in a battle for Cali, some other marquee matchups as well. Defending champ Liberty May 27th, and they've got the Aces and Fever.
Her standout performance at Iowa made her a household name, and her seamless transition to the WNBA only heightened her impact. As a high-volume scorer and talented playmaker, she possesses the unique ability to draw crowds and secure victories. So, why did the Valkyries pass on drafting her when they had the opportunity? The reason stems from a combination of strategic planning, roster-building priorities, and the complexities of managing star talent within a newly established team. She is more than just a prolific scorer. She is a transformative player. Her knack for sinking three-pointers from seemingly unreachable distances and her exceptional court vision make her an invaluable asset. Additionally, she exemplifies leadership both on and off the court, frequently taking control during pivotal moments of the game. Any team would be fortunate to acquire her talents, or so it appears. However, constructing a new franchise goes beyond assembling star players. It involves ensuring the right fit, fostering chemistry, and implementing long-term strategies. This vision necessitated selecting players who could offer versatility and balance to their roster. Opting to draft a superstar like Caitlin Clark might have seemed like a straightforward way to make headlines, but it could have interfered with the delicate task of forming a unified and cohesive team structure. A prime example of the Valkyries' strategic selection is Temi Fagbenle. As an experienced center, Fagbenle brings defensive strength and leadership qualities that are crucial for any team seeking to establish its identity. However, her selection sparked surprise because it meant that Caitlin Clark remained with the Indiana Fever. Speculation among fans suggested that Fagbenle's departure from the Fever was closely linked to Clark's increasing influence within the team. Her on-court presence attracts media coverage, drives merchandise sales, and energizes fan communities. For the Indiana Fever, she serves as a cornerstone in their rebuilding efforts. Conversely, for the Valkyries, acquiring a player of her caliber might have introduced significant challenges. Effectively managing a star athlete requires substantial resources, both financially and in terms of team dynamics. Clark's playing style necessitates that the team's offense is centered around her. She thrives as a high-usage player who relies on having the ball in her hands. While this strategy can be effective for established teams with well-defined systems, it poses risks for a new franchise striving to find its balance. The Valkyries likely aimed to prevent their entire identity from hinging on a single player, regardless of her talent. Instead, their focus was probably on assembling a more balanced roster, capable of evolving into a cohesive unit that can compete comprehensively without depending excessively on any one individual.
From the Atlanta Dream, the Golden State Valkyries select center Ileana Rupert.
Another layer to this decision is the Valkyries' emphasis on defense and versatility. Players like Vag Benley, Alana R., and Monique Billings offer flexibility across multiple positions, enabling the team to adjust to various matchups. While drafting Clark might have been tempting, it could have constrained their ability to build a well-rounded roster. Under the expansion draft rules, teams had the option to protect certain players. Unsurprisingly, the Fever chose to safeguard Caitlin Clark, effectively removing her from the Valkyries' selection pool. This move came at a price, leaving players like Vag Benley unprotected. For the Fever, this was a strategic gamble. They prioritized securing their star player, understanding that losing other valuable role players might be an unavoidable consequence. Protecting Clark underscores her significance to the Fever's future. She's not merely a player, but the cornerstone of their franchise. Losing her would have severely hampered their rebuilding efforts. Nevertheless, some fans believe that leaving Vag Benley unprotected was a misstep, as she is a dependable contributor who brings both experience and grit to the team. By passing on high-profile players like Caitlin Clark, they signaled their commitment to constructing a team based on depth, teamwork, and strategic foresight. This method may not create immediate headlines, but it lays the groundwork for long-term success. Naturally, not everyone concurs with this strategy. Critics argue that the Valkyries forfeited an opportunity to secure a generational talent. Caitlin Clark's ability to attract fans and elevate her teammates makes her a rare asset in the WNBA. Opting out of drafting her could be viewed as a risky move, especially for a new team aiming to establish itself in a competitive environment. However, there's a valid argument supporting the Valkyries' choice. Building a successful franchise requires time and meticulous planning. While star players like Caitlin Clark can transform a team, they also introduce complexities both on and off the court. For the Valkyries, the expansion draft was about more than just acquiring talent. It was about establishing a foundation for a team capable of competing at the highest levels. As the Valkyries gear up for their inaugural season, all eyes will be on their roster decisions. Will their strategic approach yield positive results, or will they rue the decision to pass on players like Caitlin Clark? The outcome may not be immediate, but one thing is clear: this decision will be closely examined. Understanding the Valkyries' choice to forgo Caitlin Clark requires looking at the broader context. How will this impact the future of the Valkyries and Caitlin Clark's role with the Indiana Fever? Launching a new franchise carries the inherent pressure to make a significant impact quickly. Acquiring a player like Caitlin Clark would undoubtedly generate headlines and draw fans to the arena. However, a franchise's success isn't solely determined by hype. It's about winning games and cultivating a sustainable culture. The Valkyries appear to have prioritized balance over star power. A key aspect of this decision revolves around Caitlin Clark's compatibility with a new system. Clark is renowned for her dynamic, high-energy playing style. She's a high-usage player who excels in systems designed to highlight her individual talents. However, for a nascent team like the Valkyries, selecting a player of Clark's magnitude could result in a lopsided roster. The team might feel compelled to build entirely around her, potentially compromising depth and versatility. Historically, teams that secure elite talent early on often set themselves up for sustained success. Clark's ability to draw double teams, stretch defenses, and control the game's tempo makes her a generational talent. By passing on her, the Valkyries are essentially betting on their ability to discover comparable talent in the future, a gamble that may or may not pay off.
The media, all they talk about is Caitlin. Caitlin could throw somebody a bounce pass. Oh my God, she threw it. It's all about Caitlin.
Remember all the girls that were just all talking shit about her from the beginning? This was a tune change because that's how they roll. That WNBA is woke as shit. The NBA is woke as shit. and they had to tell her, you better change your thing or we're not going to get behind you 100%. And she did. She bowed down, and that's exactly what happened.
Caitlin Clark was honored as Time's Athlete of the Year, a significant recognition for such a rising talent. However, her achievement has been eclipsed by the uproar over her remarks in the accompanying interview. In the discussion, Clark mentioned, "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is a privilege, and a lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them." These comments have ignited passionate debates. Some commend her for bringing attention to racial disparities, a persistent issue in both sports and society. Others have taken issue, alleging that she has succumbed to societal pressures and compromised her true self. As supporters and critics clash over her statements, the pressing question emerges: what does this mean for Caitlin Clark's future and her bond with her fan base? Stay tuned as we examine reactions from influential voices in the media, starting with Candace Owens, who unexpectedly supports Clark while addressing the larger controversy.
She's 22 years old. I don't know a single commentator out there, Megyn Kelly included, who did not at some point throughout their political career have the wrong perspectives. But for whatever reason, we've decided Caitlin's not allowed that time to grow. She's not allowed time to change. She's got to be a perfect MAGA candidate and I guess stand up to the entire mob. This girl's literally being bullied, physically bullied, I will say, by the way, on the court. And we know the basis of that is quite racist. I think she just wants to survive. I think genuinely Caitlin just wants to survive.
It's impressive to reflect on the accomplishments Caitlin Clark has achieved at such a young age. Her swift rise to prominence can make her youth easy to overlook, but it's crucial to offer her understanding as she maneuvers through this intense spotlight and becomes entangled in cultural debates. Next, we highlight a statement from David Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports and a prominent social media influencer. Unlike many commentators involved in the Caitlin Clark controversy, Portnoy is a genuine sports enthusiast. He shared his honest opinions in an informal rant posted on his Instagram and Twitter, providing his perspective on both Clark's remarks and the public's reaction to them.
Caitlin Clark's popularity has absolutely nothing to do with the color of her skin. Anybody who has actually watched women's basketball or watched Caitlin knows she plays totally different than any woman before her.
Portnoy disputes the claim that Caitlin Clark's achievements are solely the result of white privilege, highlighting the indisputable truth that her remarkable basketball talent set her apart. Her extraordinary level of play is the genuine reason she is hailed as the leading figure in women's basketball today, potentially the greatest in the sport's entire history. Portnoy also addresses the problem of commentators engaging in the debate without being true basketball enthusiasts. He emphasizes how voices from all sides of the cultural conflict are capitalizing on Caitlin Clark's fame, using her as a symbol for agendas she doesn't actually support. This misrepresentation has caused her words and character to be distorted by those eager to shape the narrative to fit their own perspectives.
All the people who are like co-opting this, who aren't real basketball fans, who aren't real Caitlin Clark fans, are like, oh, the woke mob got to her. She's now saying her success is because of the skin and she has privilege. First of all, she didn't say she had that. She said she earned everything she got. But what do you want Caitlin Clark to do?
Portnoy further elaborates on his viewpoint, indicating that the circumstances surrounding Caitlin Clark's remarks significantly influence her decision to address such issues. He contends that her statements are more of a deliberate tactic to navigate the complexities of her WNBA career rather than a sincere political position. According to Portnoy, Caitlin's main objective is to steer clear of divisive debates, choosing instead to avoid controversy and focus on her performance on the court.
She plays in a league that is predominantly African American, and she wants to maybe show up at work and not have people hate her. She wants the league to be successful. The more successful, more stars, the better it is for her and everybody in the league. This backlash of Caitlyn turned on the league and Caitlyn is woke and Caitlyn is this. You fuckers are crazy. And that's what I hate. This, for Caitlyn, has never been about politics, never been about race.
The controversy surrounding Caitlyn Clark may be increasing her visibility and online presence, but it's evident that she prefers to steer clear of the limelight it brings. Naturally humble, Clark has never sought to become a political icon. Her unwavering dedication has always been to basketball. It's her passion, her strength, and the reason she earned the title of Times Athlete of the Year. Although the debates and discussions surrounding her have certainly amplified her fame, perhaps it's time to let her shine in her true element, performing basketball at an exceptional level. This sentiment was echoed by the legendary sportscaster Dan Patrick, who encouraged everyone to simply admire greatness when it's right before us, as it is with Caitlyn Clark. With decades of experience in sports, Patrick recognizes how rare and transient moments of brilliance can be. He highlights just how unique and generational Clark's talent is, urging us to appreciate her presence in the game instead of criticizing her.
Can't we just acknowledge Caitlyn Clark changed the WNBA? That's it. It's okay. You want to throw in Angel Reese. You want to throw the memory of Cheryl Miller or Cynthia Cooper. It's a win. We got to... This is a unique moment. Caitlyn Clark did for the WNBA what Wayne Gretzky did for the NHL when he went to the LA Kings.
There's no need to politicize every action a public figure takes. Sometimes, we should pause to appreciate the qualities that made them outstanding from the start. Acknowledging Caitlyn Clark for her exceptional athletic prowess doesn't detract from other athletes. Dan Patrick highlights this idea, encouraging us to honor greatness for what it truly represents.
It's okay. Take a victory lap. You don't have to go, oh my God, these people are mad, or this person's mad, or this group is mad. Caitlyn Clark changed the WNBA. It's okay. It's okay to say that. You're not diminishing what the founding, fathers of the WNBA did. You're not. She's the Time Person of the Year.
In summary, Caitlyn Clark's remarkable achievements at a young age have firmly established her as a standout star in women's basketball, culminating in her recognition as Time's Athlete of the Year. However, her success has not been without controversy, particularly regarding her comments on privilege and race, which have ignited a heated debate among fans and critics alike. David Portnoy has emerged as a key voice in her defense, emphasizing that Clark's extraordinary talent is the true foundation of her acclaim and criticizing those who exploit her fame for ulterior motives. Meanwhile, legendary sportscaster Dan Patrick echoes the sentiment that Clark should be celebrated for her unparalleled basketball skills, rather than being entangled in political discourse. As the discussions continue, the overarching message remains clear. Caitlyn Clark deserves to be appreciated for her exceptional abilities on the court, allowing her to shine without the burden of unnecessary politicization. Moving forward, it is essential to honor her contributions to the sport and support her journey, recognizing that her brilliance is what truly makes her a deserving Athlete of the Year.